Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the immigrant mentality. And yes, it is a real thing. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things from personal experience. And then I'm going to tell you a few things that you can do, even if you're not an immigrant, to develop that mentality and to help you win in business and in life. Now, before I get into any of that, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps me and it's going to help you because I'm going to be dropping these videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you're gonna get this knowledge coming at you. And also make sure to like the video and comment below so that we could engage and continue this conversation after this video. I look forward to hearing what you have to say about the immigrant mentality and your takeaways from this video. So first things first, the immigrant mentality is a real thing, and I can attest to that from personal experience. When I was 10 years old, I migrated from Iran in the Middle East to Canada, and that was my experience of coming into a new world, a new country, a new culture, a new language. And believe it or not, I did not speak a word of English, so I had to learn the language from scratch and I had to adapt. And for those reasons, I built a lot of fundamentals that went on to help me later in life with sales, with business, and also in my personal life. So some of those fundamentals, a lot of immigrants would share and would agree with me in. Also, what I want to do is I want to tell you these fundamentals and teach them in a way that even if you're not an immigrant, you can actually apply them to your life and you can reap the same benefits that the immigrants who apply these fundamentals do. And so you can also enjoy the same rewards in your business and in your life. So just drawing from my own personal experience, I can tell you the number one thing that comes with the immigrant mentality is perspective. And when I say perspective, I mean when you come from a different world, from a different culture and country and language and socioeconomic status, and just it's a whole different way of life, and you step into the Western world, whether it's Europe or Canada or the US or anywhere else that's a first world country, you start to notice the differences immediately. And you start to gain perspective immediately because it's only a matter of percentages of luck or things that somebody did for you to get to this place. And every time in my own personal life, I look back and I know that I have family and cousins and whatnot in other countries and other parts of the world. It makes me feel like I'm privileged, I'm lucky, I'm honored to actually be here and have these opportunities in front of me. So that perspective in itself can be a very powerful tool. So when you have that perspective, chances are you're not going to take opportunities for granted because you know the alternative. You know the alternative is if you weren't here, you wouldn't have any of these opportunities. You probably know the alternative for how you would be living, your circumstances, your situation, your financial circumstances, the opportunities that are in front of you. As an immigrant, when you look at the alternative or think back to the alternative, it makes you realize and become grateful for the opportunities that you have and for the position that you're in. So for those reasons, perspective is the number one thing that I think immigrants have. From my own personal experience, I can speak on this being an immigrant again and coming here at the age of 10 years old and having that perspective on two different worlds, two different ways of life, two different cultures, two different mindsets, and two different views of the world. And again, perspective is something that can be developed even if you're not an immigrant. So what you can do is you can start to do daily gratitude. You can start to think about your life, the opportunities you have, things that are so accessible to you that you may not even stop to think that if you were in a different part of the world or if you were by chance born somewhere else, you might not even have had these things, or they might not even be a thing that's available to you. And another good way to add this perspective is to travel. Go and see the world. Go to different countries. Go to a third world country and see how they live, and just spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, and get to experience their way of life. And it puts everything into perspective for you, and you start to realize that, hey, I have all these opportunities. I have so much more that other people in the world don't, and I cannot take these opportunities for granted, and therefore I have to make the most of every day. I have to execute on my goals. I have to execute on the opportunities that are in front of me. And whether you're an immigrant or not, you can start to gain that perspective on your personal life and on business, and you can really apply this to any other area of life as well. Number two is struggle and adversity. So being an immigrant, struggle and adversity is something you go through from the very beginning of migrating to a different country or a different, again, world. And it starts with the language. It starts with the very simple things, not understanding the culture, not being able to communicate with other people. And just right from the get-go, having to overcome that starts to build this muscle of overcoming adversity, overcoming struggle. And the reality is you develop a thicker skin for problems or challenges that may arise later on in life. And if you see behind me right here, that poster, it says, pressure is a privilege. And that's the reality. The first time I ever heard pressure is a privilege was actually in a talk given by Jesse Itzler. I've had the opportunity to see Jesse Itzler speak multiple times. If you don't know him, very successful entrepreneur, very fun guy to watch and see how he lives his life. And he's also the husband of Sarah Blakely, who's a self-made billionaire, the founder of Spanx. And one thing Jesse Itzler always mentions in his talks, again, having seen him talk multiple times, is this saying of pressure is a privilege. And I really took that to heart because I know in my life, being an immigrant, having that pressure was actually a privilege because it set me up to overcome adversity and challenges. And it built this muscle of perseverance, which actually translated later into my sales abilities to close, to handle uncomfortable situations, to stay in there and stick it out and keep pushing. And that perseverance muscle really comes from that immigrant mentality. And again, if you're not an immigrant, you can also develop this muscle of adversity and struggle and perseverance. And I'm going to tell you how. I've said this to so many people that have had the opportunity to work with me, and I'll say it to you here. If you don't have pressure in your life, manufacture it. You heard that right. Manufacture it. Create pressure in your life. Get yourself out of the comfort zone, out of comfortable situations. The way you manufacture pressure is by committing yourself to a deadline, by committing yourself to a bigger project, by burning the boats, as the saying goes, and quitting your job and throwing yourself out there, by putting your back against the wall in any way possible and creating the pressure in your own life. And then watch how your life will change. Watch how you will rise to the level of the pressure in your life, and watch how you're going to pursue all of your goals at such a faster rate and actually end up achieving a lot more than you would have if you had the comfort or the resources or played it safe, as they say. So again, the second thing to the immigrant mentality is adversity, struggle, and pressure, and having that muscle of perseverance. And if you don't have that in your life today, then manufacture that and make sure to add some pressure to your life in order to push you forward and in order to also pull you forward, depending on what kind of pressure you're adding. And number 3 is work ethic. It's simple, but it's not easy. Work ethic is something you probably hear all the time. You've probably heard this advice over and over and over again. And funny enough, actually now, the opposite of that advice is starting to come out. And I hear entrepreneurs and coaches and gurus and mentors and whatever you like to call them preaching, working smart, not hard, working less, work-life balance, all of these things. And I think one gift of being an immigrant and one thing that comes with this immigrant mentality is you start to realize very early on there is no such thing as work-life balance. Work-life balance does not exist. And it's good to understand that on a deeper level. This is not a negative thing. It doesn't mean you won't have a life. Matter of fact, I have an amazing life, and so should you. The whole point of that is you can't balance something, or you can't seek balance. That's not the thing you should be seeking. What you should be seeking is prioritization. What you should be doing is prioritizing your work and then prioritizing your life and seeing how you can fit those things in, how you can set up your calendar, how you can set up your schedule, and working in that manner, working in that way of having very real, very serious priorities and committing to those priorities to make sure that you can maximize your work and business, and also you can maximize your life on a personal level. So you shouldn't be seeking a balance. You should be seeking the best of both worlds. And the way you do that is by prioritizing, by knowing your priorities, and by then executing on those priorities. And this last point is very simple. You clearly don't have to be an immigrant to have a great work ethic or to prioritize your life in a way that you can maximize your work and business and also your personal life. So that being said, this is the final tip. Whether you're an immigrant or not, you need to have work ethic. You need to implement serious work ethic into your personal life and into your business in order to get the results that you want and in order to compete. I think it was Mark Cuban who said business is the ultimate sport. It's 24/7, 365. It's always going and happening, and somebody else is always outworking you in one way or another. At least I like to believe that there's somebody else out there outworking me every single day, and that just drives me. That gets my work ethic going and gets me fueled. And of course, it should be your own goals and your own potential and your own life and what you want to create that fuels you. But it's also good to know that there are immigrants and non-immigrants outworking you every single day, and work ethic is always a factor, and it always will remain a factor. And if you have something against working hard or putting in the hours or prioritizing your life so that you can really do the most in every area of your life, then I'm just going to tell you, you're probably not going to win in sales or in business, because the people that are willing to do the work, are willing to back up everything else with the right level of work ethic, are the people that are going to win. So there you have it. That's the last strategy, work ethic. So there you have it, the famous immigrant mentality. And now you know how to develop this mentality for your own business and for your own life. And I hope you take these tips seriously, and I hope you start to implement them into your day-to-day life immediately so that you can get the same type of results. And again, the one thing I want you to take away here is pressure is a privilege. So make sure if you don't have pressure in your life, you go and manufacture it, go and create it, and make sure that you have pressure pulling you forward and pushing you from the other side at all times, so that you're always operating at your best and you're always sharp, you're always ready, and you're always winning in life. Stay tuned for a lot more content coming about your business, about sales, about your life, about motivation, and about everything else that falls under this umbrella of entrepreneurship and success. And I'm excited to continue bringing this content to you. As always, make sure to subscribe, like the video below, and also comment your thoughts. I would love to hear back from you, and I would love to discuss this immigrant mentality further with you in the comment section. See you next time.